You know the vibes. Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast brought to you by NBA 2K23. Myself, Mamuti, alongside, as always, the one, the only Mr. BJ Armstrong.
Real name, no gimmicks.
Jeez. Well, action-packed night around the NBA. Let's get straight into it. As this is what we do. We catch you up with everything you've missed, everything that you got to look forward to. We're going to start with the first team that's qualified for the conference semifinals. That is the Philadelphia 76ers, who won their series against Brooklyn in 4 straight games with a 96-88 win in Brooklyn. No Joel Embiid tonight for the Sixers. He was injured, but they still came up with the win. They got contributions across the board. I think they had 5 players scoring in double figures. Tobias Harris had 25 points to lead the team. I was thinking about this. Okay. You know, before the emergence of Tyrese Maxey, everyone said that Tobias Harris was the third star on the team. You know, back when it was the Ben Simmons era, it was Embiid, Simmons, and Harris after Jimmy Butler left. But now, Maxey's your third star or your second star, as BJ likes to tell us. And Tobias Harris being your fourth option and being a guy that can go out and get you 25 on the road and lead you to a win, that's absolutely huge in terms of depth when we talk about making a run in the postseason.
Well, you don't want to forget about Tobias Harris from this standpoint. You know, he put together, a nice year or two out there in L.A. I think he played for Doc Rivers out there for the Clippers.
For the Clippers, yeah.
And Tobias is a really good player, and he's a really good, like, mid-range player. You know, he's not just a catch-and-shoot guy from 3. He has a post game. He has the ability to play with 1 and 2 dribbles. He plays through contact, nice size and length at his position. However, when you play with a player like a Joel Embiid who demands that he gets as many touches as he gets, a player like Tobias Harris has to really take a back seat because he's not the first or second option, third option in this offense. Why? It's because of the way the game is played. You know, Mo, if there's one criticism that I've had with the Philadelphia 76ers this year, is their ability to play at a tempo that's going to allow them to play fast and get up and down the court. Because Joel Embiid, being a center in today's game, you know, you don't want to exclude him from their offensive philosophy of what they're trying to do. So they tend to slow the ball down a little bit. However, you know, when you have Tyrese Maxey pushing the pace, I think you have to do that. You have to have this, what I've termed a blended brand of basketball. And more times than not, Tobias Harris is the odd guy out in that. You know, he's not like an exceptional athlete where he plays in the air. He's skilled. He's a very good basketball player. And when you take out a Joel Embiid, suddenly he becomes a feature point in that court set. So the playoffs really, I think, tend to favor him in the way he plays the game. And you can see today he had, a really nice offensive game, and he's a very capable scorer in the half court.
I know, and it bodes well for the Sixers that they won in just 4 games because now they get a chance to rest for a week or however long it is until the next round against the Celtics or the Hawks. And it gives Embiid a chance to go get healthy again. Doc Rivers wasn't too encouraged by the results of his scan. For Brooklyn, they played the game as if they'd already booked their flights to Cancun. I'm going to be honest with you. It wasn't an inspiring performance by any means, and fair play to them. You know, the thing with this series is that the Nets were overmatched, and they were largely there because of their record with Kevin Durant. You know, after the Kevin Durant trade, they were below 500. So the reason why they were the 6th seed is because Kevin Durant won them so many games before he left. So fair play to him. They get the offseason to maybe make some moves, maybe run it back, try to build this team around Mikal Bridges, who's become a superstar. But let's keep it moving. The next game of the day was the Suns versus the Clippers. The Suns went on the road, took a 3-1 series lead, 112-100. Once again, no Kawhi Leonard or Paul George for the LA Clippers. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's time you put some respect on Russell Westbrook's name. He had 37 points. This is the guy who everyone told me couldn't play in the NBA anymore. Everyone doesn't include BJ. We had to clarify that one yesterday.
Yeah, thank you.
But he had a huge performance going up against his former friend or foe, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, 31 points, but Devin Booker, another 30 piece for him. He's been simply sensational through the playoffs so far. And it's really frustrating me because this Clippers team, even though they lost by 12, they were in it till the end, again, like they were in the previous game without Kawhi Leonard, without Paul George. They have such good depth. They have such good coaching. They've got such a good roster. All they're missing is those players, Kawhi and Paul George, to take them over the edge. You know, you saw it in game one. That's all they're missing. And every season, they just seem to come up with injuries and injuries and injuries. And the Clippers are going to end up being one of the biggest what-if teams because it feels like every postseason, Kawhi or Paul George goes down with an injury.
Well, injuries are a part of it. And I never question whether someone is injured or not. It's very unfortunate that the injuries and the timing of these injuries with these two particular players, because they're such outstanding players and they're very valuable, important players for the Clippers. And you have Paul George is out. You have Kawhi Leonard now being out. And it's just a very unfortunate situation because many people, myself included, had high hopes for this team at the beginning of the season, just looking at their roster.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at their depth. They built this team with the intention of making a deep playoff run. And sometimes, it happens where it never finds the right chemistry. When I look at this team, I always go back to saying you have to have the discipline necessary to play the game at an elite level. And that's one thing that you see all good teams have. They play with a certain amount of discipline. When you watch the Clippers, you see the talent. You see they have a number of players that can guard wing players. They're athletic. They have big bodies, terrific guard play. They can defend. I mean, they have all the essential qualities that's necessary. But for some reason, there's something that's missing. And you have to be in the locker room. You never know a team until you coach them. You never know a team until you actually are on that team. So without, just throwing stuff against the wall to see what sticks, I will say this. I think this team is going to have to do some soul searching. I think this team is going to have to make some difficult decisions, whether this is the actual group or do you break this up and you move in a different direction? Because it's been listen, there's no doubt about it. This has been very disappointing. They didn't put this team together to get to the first round. They didn't put this team together to get to the second round. They put this team together saying, we have a chance. And it hasn't happened for this version or this group of LA Clippers. And if there was a bright spot, Russell Westbrook came in, kind of enthralled himself into the group. And he put back-to-back 30-point games in the playoffs, which has been incredible to watch him play. And he's playing meaningful basketball. So, other than that, it's been really tough for them. But they're competing. I give them that. The group that is on the floor, they're competing. However, it's just not good enough at this time of the year.
Now, a win is a win in the playoffs. You got to go get it how you get it. Are you slightly concerned at all with the Phoenix Suns, given that they're struggling to beat a team that's down their two best players? Because if you think about it the other way around, if the Suns were down their two best players in Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, I don't think it would even be a close game. I think the Clippers would annihilate them. Should they be concerned when they have to face tougher opponents from what you've seen? Because they haven't been dominant victories. They've been, okay, we got the win because, Katie and Devin Booker can hit big shots. But against better teams with their star players in, maybe they're not tied. Maybe they're not in the lead. Maybe they're in a tougher spot.
Well, I think it's only normal that you compare and you try to find hidden meanings in between the lines. The sign of a good team is you win the games you're supposed to win, and you find a way to win games even when you don't play well. I'm very impressed with this about the Suns thus far. They're not playing well, and they're up 3-1 in the series.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, by all accounts, in 4 games, there's nothing overwhelming that you look at and go, this team is the team. You're not watching going, it's not a dominant performance. It's not like we're looking at them just based on Kawhi being out, Paul George being out. We're going, well, they're missing their 2 best players. They should just roll over this team. Well, that's not the case. That's what makes the Clippers so interesting, is because they're playing competitive basketball minus 2 all-stars. Kawhi Leonard may have been the best player in the playoffs in the first 2 games of this year in the playoffs. And then you're saying, if Paul George and Kawhi Leonard was there with the rest of these guys, you're saying, maybe. The Clippers are a very good team. Okay. Norman Powell, and those guys, man. I mean, you have guys coming off their bench. Okay. You got guys coming off their bench. Okay. Marcus Morris. He was out of the rotation. I mean, he's a really good player. Zubac, Bones Highland, Plumlee, Nick Batum, Covington. Those are good players, okay? So I'm not concerned about about this Suns team, because I like their professionalism. And, as our coaches used to tell us all the time, you play just good enough offense to win that game, and that's good offense. You play just good enough defense that game to win, whatever game that is that you need, that's good defense. So they figured out how to come here and win 2 games. They weren't convincing wins, but they were wins nonetheless. And now they have an opportunity to go back and, finish it out there in Phoenix, which isn't going to be easy. But I think they are beginning to round in shape. Kevin Durant is beginning, he's getting more and more efficient. And I think there's a fill out period that they're going to need as they go through these playoffs. But you know what? I would love, Mo, to work with a team and you're not even playing well and you're still winning the playoffs.
Man.
I mean, Mo, think about Mo. You go, God, they're not dominant and they're up 3-1. So that lets me know that when they finally figure it out, and they're going to have a game where they're going to click, right? And they're winning and they're not even playing their best basketball. So that's very positive from that standpoint.
Well, speaking of bad basketball, the Milwaukee Bucks got absolutely destroyed by the Miami Heat on the road in Miami, 121-99. An interesting adjustment for this one. Kevin Love stepped into the starting lineup for the Miami Heat, and they were led by Jimmy Butler, who had a 30-piece. Playoff Jimmy showed up tonight. Bam Adebayo, double-double, grabbed the boards, and they did their thing with some electric 3-point shooting. We saw the return of Duncan Robinson, going 5 from 6 from behind the arc. That's a name we've not talked about in a while. He's been very quiet for the last season, 2 seasons maybe. Good to see him back out there. Obviously, there was a little gray cloud at the end of the game with Victor Oladipo picking up what looked like quite a serious injury, so prayers up for him. But we've got an interesting series now. Miami are up 2-1. The winner of game 3, I believe, has won the series like 73% of the time. I don't know the exact number, but it is around 70%. What now? Do you think Giannis has to return for the next game? Do you think that Milwaukee try and play without him? What Milwaukee thinking right now?
Well, hopefully this isn't more serious than we initially thought. I didn't expect him to be out. What is this? 3 games now? I mean, he didn't play much in the game he got hurt. So that's, and now they're down 2-1 in the series. Now I get long-term, you want to think about what this is going to do, because they are another team with the expectation of making a deep run. However, sometimes, you get out on the dance floor and you get cute. And if they're not careful, you're down 3-1 suddenly. So I would think now, Mo, that if he's going to make a return, it's going to have to be now, because, After game 2, Mo, I didn't know what to think.
Mm-hmm.
But I know this is the NBA, and this is why I love the NBA and Coach Spo and those guys. They're so technical. And you have a game like that, you lose big, nothing seems to work. And then he goes back in the lab and he comes up with a game plan, makes an adjustment, loses Tyler Hero. And then the professionalism of Duncan Robinson to be ready when his number is called. That to me, Mo, just says it all. Okay. That just says about your culture that he's keeping those guys ready, even when they're not playing. And I love that. That's what makes Miami Heat and their culture so great, is that guys are ready, okay? And that goes to their coach staff, their executives, and to the players, because that's character, okay? You got to have character. They have that. So now the Milwaukee Bucks are going to have to get their best player back. I mean, it's clear to me what Giannis means to this team. It's always been clear to me. But right now, Mo, hopefully he is in a place physically where he can play. Because if there's one thing I know about Giannis, he's a tough kid.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's sitting out, it's not because, he's load managing. He's sitting out because there's something going on. And hopefully, he'll be back out there on the court and he can be able to perform. Because without him, Mo, I think Coach Spoelstra and his staff has figured out something. And the only thing that can beat them right now, or that team is playing like that, talking about the Miami Heat, is talent. And they're going to need Giannis's talent if they're going to advance to the second round.
Well, that leads us to the final game of the night. The Lakers took the 111 win at home against the Memphis Grizzlies, who put up 101 points. And the Memphis Grizzlies saw Ja Morant return. And early on, his hand did not look right at all. But by the end of the game, Ja finished with 45 points, including, I think, 22 straight in the fourth quarter, to try and make it a somewhat close game, because we saw one of the worst first quarters I've seen since the Celtics played the Hawks in 2016, and they put up 7 points in the first quarter. The Grizzlies did slightly better. They put up 9 points. Their starters combined for one made field goal. But it was absolutely ridiculous. It was so bad. I actually had the chance to break down some game footage in real time because the Lakers were up so much. The Lakers were running a very simple set. It's double drag. So Austin Reeves and Anthony Davis both set screen for D'Angelo Russell to come off. D'Angelo Russell, the first time down, he comes off both screens, gets to the hoop and scores. The next time down, because after setting the screens, Anthony Davis will dive to the basket and Austin Reeves will flare for the three. So the second time down, the defense is worried about D'Lo driving, and they're worried about Anthony Davis cutting to the hoop. So LeBron's open, passes to LeBron, LeBron cuts to the hoop, scores a bucket. The third time down, Anthony Davis gets the lob pass. The fourth time down, D'Lo misses the layup, but Anthony Davis, because he's driven to the hoop after setting the screen, he's in ideal offensive rebounding position. So just off the bat, they ran the same play 4 times in a row and scored every time down. And what was the score? It was the biggest first quarter lead in playoff history. They were up 26. So bad start for Memphis. They were rattled. The crowd were going crazy. Dylan Brooks, who had his words for LeBron, ended up being ejected from the game for hitting LeBron in the ball bag. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but who knows? Interesting to see if he gets suspended. Interesting that he was ejected from the game. He should have just slightly missed and got LeBron's leg instead. They would have kept him in the game like they did for Embiid. But maybe that's just for Embiid. Who knows? Needless to say, the Grizzlies got blown out. They did try and make it close, but they in fact cut the lead to 13 in the third quarter. But Anthony Davis had a monster third quarter, put the lead back up to 20. A little bit of chippiness between Rui Hachimura and our guy David Ruddy, who wasn't happy about a foul. But
yeah, Mo, what are you doing out there fighting, Mo? What are you doing out there?
Listen, I'll tell you one thing, bro. I'll tell you one thing. They don't want to see me out there. They don't want to see me out there for a second. Dominant win from the Lakers. Dominant win. Good performance all round. Led by Anthony Davis, who was huge in this one. He had 31. LeBron had 25. And D'Angelo Russell came alive for the first time all series with 17 points. And what did you take away from it?
Terrific win for the Lakers. I didn't know what to expect in this game. from the standpoint, Memphis, they got a nice win in game 2. And suddenly you get a little jolt in the arm, and they're getting Ja Morant back. He does play, he puts up impressive numbers, 45 points, 13 assists, 9 rebounds. However, it was just, the Lakers were just dominant from start to finish. They really were. They when Anthony Davis plays well, this is a tough team. Okay. Mm-hmm. And tonight he was 31, 17, 3 blocks. He
bounced back.
The best player on the floor.
Bounced back in a big way. He answered the call.
Yeah, he did. He did a nice job. They had very balanced scoring. 4 out of their 5 starters were in double figures. Rui continues to shoot the ball well and play well in his role off the bench. I think he's found a role. Schroeder comes in, changes the tempo of the game. They're getting excellent guard play. In addition to that, this kid, Austin Reeves, has found his niche.
He's like the 3rd star on the team now.
Yeah, he's found his niche. So they are a team right now that, you're saying, you know what? Got to give them credit. They made those trades at the trade deadline, and they've worked out. They've been sensational. So defensively, I love the fact they only gave up 101 points at home. That's great.
Their defense was so locked in. Like, they were fighting through screens, they were collapsing the paint, they were pressuring the ball, they were doing everything.
Yeah, so you got to give those guys credit. Give them credit for fighting through it. Give them credit for being able to just figure it out. And it's been one of those seasons where they're up, they're down, they're out of the playoffs here. And all of a sudden now they're up in the series. You at 2-1 now, right? And so, it was a great win for them, a really nice win for them. Very disappointing for the Memphis Grizzlies. I have to say that.
They looked so like rattled when they came out. They didn't look like they were ready for a game.
But also, sometimes it's like that, Mo. Sometimes it's like that.
Also, for the Lakers, LeBron's teammates had his back in a big way. It was a team effort. And, it was almost like, well, we heard what you said about LeBron, what you've been saying about us. They didn't want their guys to be disrespected. Some would say that they didn't want to be traded by GM LeBron this summer, so they had to come out and play and make sure they got the win on this one because it was crucial. But yeah, shout out to Anthony Davis for having a big game. I can't say anything about him. A couple injury scares, but it's just a normal night for Anthony Davis. Also, this game timed up. I love when things happen perfectly. This game timed up perfectly so that halftime began at the very start of the Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis fight. Did you watch that? Did you catch that?
I did not. I did not, Mo.
It was a quality, amazing fight. No. I knew it was going to be great because Javonte Davis, I don't know how to pronounce it. He walked out to the ring with Chief Keef. And from then, I knew it was going to be great. And him with the little liver shot after the left hook miss, and it was night. But back to basketball. We got 4 games coming up this afternoon. We start with the Cavs and the Knicks in New York. I find game 3s to be so crucial, right? Because if you tie the game 2-2, whatever, if a team takes a 3-1 lead, though, they basically almost won the series. So the Knicks have the chance to go up 3-1 tonight at home. Do you think they do it?
It's a tough one, Mo. That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. This is a tough series to call because I think there's so much parity there. However, it's any man's guess. You call it. You always ask me. You call it. You call this one.
I've got the Knicks. I've got the Knicks in this one.
It's an early start. Early starts are tough at home. They're tough at home. So we'll see. Sometimes, Mo, you get it out of your system. You have a bad game.
My predictions,
you know what? We can't play any worse. We can't play any worse.
Have been completely wrong so far in the playoffs. So
yeah, so you picked them, so it's probably going to be 2-2. Exactly.
I mean, the next game is a lot more interesting to me. The Kings and the Warriors. Game 4, Draymond Green returns. Who have you got for that?
the Warriors have. I'm just going to go with the consistency of the Warriors. They lose on the road, they win at home. So you got to say Warriors at home, but I have to believe that the Sacramento's going to put up. They're going to put up a fight. I think they will play better.
Is this a really stupid question? Given how well the Warriors performed in the last game with Jordan Poole starting, because Jordan Poole all season long, he's been in the starting lineup, he's been on the bench, he's been like this for a couple of years now with Clay's injuries and stuff. He looks a lot more comfortable when he starts. If you're the Warriors, do you bring Draymond off the bench?
Well, I don't think that really matters because it's all about matchups. Listen. I'm just going to tell you what I see. When you get to the playoffs, when you get to the regular season, sometimes it's impossible to do it because of, games played back to back, injuries, so forth and so on. But when you get to the playoffs, you have matchups and you have matchups and players that you want to have players play against. It's clear to me that Kevon Looney, he can't stop Sabonis, but he matches up with Sabonis. He matches up with his strength. He just can't play right through him. He provides some resistance on the defensive end where he can match the physicality of Sabonis. Kevon Looney had 20 rebounds in the last game, by the way. It's clear to me you have to keep fresh athletes on this kid, De'Aaron Fox. It's clear to me that when Kuminga plays with his athleticism, it bothers the forwards, in particular, Keegan Murray and Harrison Barnes. It's clear to me that Steph Curry is not going to allow Devion Mitchell, a.k.a. Off Night, to just guard Steph Curry for no reason at all. Okay? So it's clear to me that it's clear to me that Coach Kerr understands the matchups that he wants his players to play against. That's going to give them the best. Now, I don't know what that's going to do to the rotation pattern of the Kings, because the Kings, as I told you at the beginning of the series, they play the Warriors brand of basketball better than the Warriors right now. They play faster than the Warriors. But the Warriors, if they can get the right matchups, they can shift the tide. They can turn the tide, if you will, that will favor them. So we will see. Maybe they start Draymond, maybe they don't. But I can assure you this. He knows the matchups that he wants Draymond to play against. He knows the matchups Kevon Looney, and they're going to do what they need to do to win the game. It's all about matching your team up. And that's why you never know. Now, I don't know what the move is going to be from the other side.
Because they'll make an adjustment as well.
Now, I would think at some point, because Keegan Murray has really struggled in this series.
You talk about matchups. This is just a bad matchup series for him. Like, this is a bad. If you're playing like the Lakers, right? If you're playing the Lakers, like, cool, you're going to hide him on Jared Vanderbilt on defense, so you don't really need to worry too much. And, on offense, he can do his thing. But I think this is just a bad matchup to go up against.
Well, again, this is, Mo Arias said, this is a bad matchup. Okay, this is a good matchup. This is whatever. This is my concern, or this is when you're evaluating your team. You have to evaluate the team versus the other top 8 players in the league, the other top 8 teams in the league. When you watch a team play, or you watch them play a particular game, you go, "Oh man, it was really good. Oh, he was really playing well." Okay, well, who were they playing against? And one of the things, Mo, you hear me talk all the time about roster construction. And one of the things you're seeing is, what's the proper evaluation of your talent? So next round, whoever they play, who would they play next round? They play
the Lakers.
Okay, let's say they were to play the Lakers, right? Well, Rui is playing terrific. and LeBron James is averaging 25, 30 a night. It's not going to get any easier. And then let's say they advance to the next round. Okay, now he's playing against
KD.
KD and Devin Booker.
Well, I mean, you say that, but you also missed out that the Lakers are playing Jared Vanderbilt, right? And the Suns are playing Torrey Craig.
But Jared Vanderbilt, okay, they will be in a cross match. Jared Vanderbilt is going to take the most difficult assignment.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't think they're going to do a cross match where Jared Vanderbilt's going to be guarding, maybe he's guarding Malik Monk. Maybe he's guarding. They're going to put a bigger body on De'Aaron Fox. Yeah. Or whatever the case
we can talk
be.
about that when we get to it.
No, I'm just saying, but it's not like a one-on-one matchup. Like everyone's like, oh, who's it going to? No. These guys are very sophisticated. So, Mo, like a lot of times coaches knowing very well, like for instance, Steve Kerr does an excellent job of always creating a mismatch for Steph Curry. So Devion Mitchell is guarding Steph Curry. He'll put Steph Curry guarding Harrison Barnes, just so that's what's called a cross match.
Mm-hmm. So when it goes the other way, Barnes is stuck on Steph.
Yeah, exactly. Mo, you do these things to help your team. It's not like no player doesn't have faults in their game. A lot of times, your coach helps your best player become that much better so that it improves your chances to win. So these coaches will create mismatches just by the way they match up for no reason at all. Well, there is a reason, but most people aren't talking about that because who wants to talk about stuff like that? Steph Curry may be the only player that doesn't switch because they always want to keep him in a cross match. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when you know things like that, that's what makes the game fun to watch it. You go, wow, man, this dude, Steve Kerr, is like unbelievable. Now we'll focus in on such and such had 35 points, but there's a reason he had 35 points. Why? Because the other team didn't make a proper adjustment. You know what I mean? It's not like you play well by an accident during this, like it's like the kid Tillman. Well, okay, he played great in game 2. Okay, you know what the Lakers said today? Well, we're going to make an adjustment.
Yep.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yep.
We're going to make an adjustment, and we're not going to help off of him like we did in the first game. Yep. We're going to stay home and say, we don't think. So you have all of these little games going on within the game. So we'll see. I think Coach Brown now has to make an adjustment. He's got to help his team find an advantage during the course of this game because they're on the road and they had an awful start. And I think they need to get off to a good start because it's one thing I know about the Warriors. They're the best. They're still, in my opinion, the best third quarter team in the NBA.
Yeah. That's been their trademark since like 2015. They come out so like it's like a boxer, right? We're talking about boxing. First few rounds, you're just getting a feel for the other guy. You saw that in tonight's fight, right? You could see Davis in his head timing, almost timing Garcia's punches, right? So he knew the perfect moment to throw the body shot. So he knows the rhythm that he's getting into. So he knows when to put his guard up. He knows when to strike. It's the same with the Warriors. The first half, I think Draymond Green's even spoken about this. The first half, they're just getting a feel for the opponent to see, okay, this is what we're doing. Okay, cool. We'll see you in the third quarter.
And if that is the case, I think that the Sacramento Kings have to be aware of this, and they're going to have to counter this. So I'll be locked in. I'll be watching, and you and I should have another spectacular day of podcasting to talk about the playoffs in the NBA.
And there's still 2 more games we haven't spoken about. We've got the Celtics and the Hawks. I need the Celtics to win this one. If they come out looking lazy and sluggish, I'm going to be very concerned. I need the C's to pick up that W tomorrow. I need it. Man. I need it.
Oh, Mo needs it. Oh, wow.
I need it.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I'm really shocked you said that, Bo, because you normally you go the opposite because you're a little superstitious.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
We will see. Now I gotta watch that game.
I didn't say they're gonna win. I said I need them to win.
Oh yeah, you
I
said it. I
need
heard
them
it.
to win.
I heard it, Mo.
It's on tape, it's on tape. I didn't say it. I need the Celtics to win that because Philly are already waiting for you and they're resting. Why are you gonna make it unnecessarily difficult? The more games you play, the more injury risk you have, especially for guys like Rob Williams. So I need the Celtics to win. Then the Timberwolves versus the Nuggets. Will the Timberwolves get swept? Do they have one game in them?
It certainly doesn't look like they have a game in them. I think they're just overmatched. I do. I think they're just overmatched with this.
We said, Kawhi Leonard looked like the best player in the playoffs. I think Devin Booker has been the best player in the playoffs so far. But I think the Nuggets have looked like the best team in the playoffs so far.
You know what? I can't argue with that. They've played well, but again, Mo, sometimes the other team can't adjust to what you do. And Jamal Murray and Jokic, I mean, it's very rarely that a team can match up with Jokic, right? Jokic and Embiid are the two best bigs in the NBA. So Jokic has been just, he's having his way. And he's passing the ball, he's shooting the ball, he's just dominating.
I mean, if only trading for a 3-time defensive player of the year who's also 7 foot would actually help with that. But no, Jokic is dominating completely and utterly.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know what? I mean, what do we expect? When you play against a great player, and that's the thing. When you play against a great player,
I expected this because I've watched Rudy Gobert try guard him before. I've expected this.
But here's the thing. I just think, look, we love to see one-on-one matchups.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way. There's nothing Rudy can do with Jokic. He doesn't have the body type.
Yeah, exactly.
He just doesn't. I mean, he doesn't have the body type. I mean,
he doesn't have the minerals. He's not built for it. He's built to block shots from guards that get through the defense.
Yeah,
not to body up big guys.
Yeah, that's what it is. So, you would hope that your coach recognizes that. That's like Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett is a titan of a defensive player when he played, okay? What's he going to do against Shaq?
What's anyone going to do against Shaq?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that body type. Like, I remember watching Kevin Garnett have to guard.
We can't compare Rudy to Kevin Garnett. I can't.
No. I'm not comparing him at all. I'm not comparing them at all.
Okay, good.
What I am saying is there are certain body types that don't match up with other types with body types, right? Like Kevin Garnett is 7. He's a 7 foot. He's thin, or he was thin, slender. Tim Duncan was just bigger than him.
Mm-hmm.
He was just John Karl Malone was just bigger than him.
Yeah. Just muscle mass.
Follow what I'm saying? Like,
it makes
bigger.
Perfect sense.
It's just some people are just bigger than you. Like, like I remember when I played, Terry Porter was just bigger than me.
Yep. And there's nothing you can do.
It was nothing you can do. You know what I'm saying? Like we could sit here and debate. And now Kevin Garnett, but he also had the body type. Hey, when he played against Paul Gasol and those other guys, Dirk Nowitzki and those guys, you go, that's a great matchup.
Mm-hmm. And he could he had the body type where he could switch onto the perimeter. He could guard 2s, he could guard 3s.
Yeah, exactly.
Guard 4s,
then you would say,
go up against some of the 5s as well.
Yeah, and then you had other types. So you go, well, man, he played against Charles Barkley. Oh man, his length was incredible. I mean, and Kevin, you're talking about a defensive player of the year. However, trust me when I tell you this, there is a body type that everyone knows in the league that can exploit you.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, Mo, everyone. Okay. And thank goodness, Mo, that I only played against this player once in the playoffs, and his name was Muggsy Bogues.
Oh man, that seems like such a headache. I always say to people, even though I'm not in the NBA, I hate guarding small guys, man.
Yeah,
run around, Get between your.
Well,
Man, I hate it.
You know what I mean? Like those, like I mean, there's always. So yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I get it. He's this.
I'm just getting my jokes off.
Yeah, I know you are, but sometimes, man,
I will never stop.
I know you won't stop, but I always, I always, I got to defend my guys, man, because these guys are trying, man. Listen,
shout out to
Jokic
Rudy.
Is a load, man. Yeah, shout out to Rudy, man. These guys are a load. Man.
Shout out to Rudy. If only he had another 7-footer. If only he had another 7-footer on the team that could help him, but Karl-Anthony Towns even worse.
Oh god, another joke.
It's a joke, but the reason why it's funny is it's true. It's true because there is no body type in the NBA that Karl-Anthony Towns has proven he can guard, and that's what makes it particularly funny for me. But yeah, shout out to the Timberwolves. I think that Anthony Edwards gets on the heater. Mike Conley does his thing. They could steal one just for the sake of pride. Who knows? But
yeah, they can. I think it's all but done. I think it's over for those guys.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna find out. We're gonna be here tomorrow morning, bringing you everything that you missed, everything you need to know, and everything that you need to know for the following night's game. So stay locked in to the Hoop Genius podcast, the best place to be for the NBA playoffs. We'll see you in the next one. Make sure you subscribe, tell your friends, leave a like and a review and a comment, all that good stuff. Most importantly, get buckets.